guys, what's up? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm hitting legs with one of my good friends, Raven. She just turned pro in wellness a few weeks ago. So this was my first time seeing her since she turned pro, and we hit a glute and hamstring workout together. So I'm going to kind of talk you guys through what we're doing and how I train for Bikini and how she trains as a wellness pro now. So starting off with abductions, these are a great movement just to kind of get those glutes firing and really open up your hips. As you see here, we're cueing like pushing out and pushing through those knees, not using your feet or like your heels to move that bar and that weight. Right here, we did 3 working sets. After our last set, we went ahead and did a double drop. So that's what I'm doing right here, helping her pull the plates off. Alright, so here's the end of my set. I was actually dead and my glutes are already toast, and it's only the first exercise, so that's always fun. She was shocked. But next we're going to be going into a free weight barbell hip thrust here, and I really like this setup. It was my first time using like this little bench. But some cues here is you're thinking about keeping your core engaged. You want to keep your knees over your heels and really just think about thrusting up using your glutes only. I think a lot of girls really slam on the weight, and Raven will attest to this. We talk about it all the time, but you'll see girls doing like 3 plates on hip thrust, and there's no way your glutes are doing that. So if you are getting like a low back pump and you're only feeling your back, you're not connecting with your glutes, take that freaking weight off because it's not doing anything. More weight or less weight here does more, honestly, with hip thrust, I've found in myself. But yeah, if you're not controlling the weight, don't do the weight. But same thing here, like I said, knees over heels. We're really thinking about coming down, keeping that spine. I think about a rod like literally being through my back and just keeping it neutral. I used to really keep my chin tucked, but now I just think about keeping it neutral. I don't really hyperextend it back, but I don't keep it super tucked either. And as you see here, I'm going slow on that way down and then really exploding up, thinking about pushing through my glutes, but also my whole foot. Alright, next here we're going into some pendulum squats. As you see here, I'm doing mine with more of a hip hinge focus because for bikini, we don't want a lot of quads. Me personally, I do not need any more quad. I need a lot of glutes and hamstrings. So here, instead of like going down and getting knee flexion, I'm initiating the movement through my hips only. And as you see, I'm letting my shins almost shift back. And I'm letting my knees travel behind my ankle. Your knees, if you're doing this for like glute bias squats, don't let your knees travel forward or like go over your toe because that's just going to be a lot of quad there. And like I said, we don't need that. When I get to the bottom of the movement, I'm literally just thinking about shooting up through my glutes and bringing my hips back up. I almost visualize just doing a hip thrust, but of course standing. And then I'll explain how Raven does hers. Wellness is overall leg development, so Raven here is doing a more quad bias squat. As you see, she's not really hinging back, she's literally going up and down, and as you watch, her knee is traveling over her toe, see right there, and then she pops back up. So with her, she's doing more quad dominant, getting lots of knee flexion, going all the way down. And I think this is good to show because we are two different divisions. We do exercises differently, but we can do the same exercises, just setup and execution is going to look a lot different. And this speaks volumes because just because someone is doing something one way doesn't mean you should. You have to look at your goals, what you need for your body, and execute for that. Next, we're going into my absolute favorite exercise, some pit shark RDLs. As you see here, I'm just using a straight bar attachment. And some cues here that I found that have worked really well for me, especially with just like any RDL, is I stand closer than what I used to. And I'm thinking about keeping my feet almost like stapled into the ground through my big toe. And I really used to turn my feet out and exaggerated like that toe turnout. But actually, I found that I feel just more stable and a better connection with my feet facing forward. But other cues here, I'm thinking about letting my shins and hip hinge back. You should never let your knees come over your toe or like just stay stable. I think about just pushing everything back and almost like my torso is dead. And here's Raven, similar setup as me. Not really much is going to change for us here. I mean, if you want a more hamstring bias RDL here, keep your knees straighter, more glutes, more knee bend. Next, we're going into a line hamstring curl. I didn't get any clips for Raven doing this, but she literally just did the same thing on the machine next to me. But some cues here, really think about pushing those hips into the pad and your quads. When I come down at that stretch, I'm thinking about just pausing for a second, and then pushing so hard through that pad with my quads. I'm holding on pretty tight just to prevent like any momentum. But this is pretty straightforward, not much to explain here. I'm just going hard and literally just going until I can't anymore. YSB. I don't gotta talk it, I know I'm official. Feel like a ref, I be blowing this whistle. Back in my bag, had to get on my gristle. I was just broke, I made that money triple. I never talk to the man in the middle. New Draco, that shit blow like a missile. Nigga, you pussy, you soft in the tissue. I hear that it's beef, then we pressing the issue. We come shooting, won't hang out the window. These bullets roll hot and they long like a limo. Them niggas ain't hit shit, the fuck did they come for? I stepped on two niggas, I feel like a wall. Last exercise here, Raven did step ups. I'm doing some glute max cable kickbacks. Both of these are going to primarily bias the glute max, so these are both great variations. She just doesn't have kickbacks in her program, so we just did it on cables next to each other. But I'm using an attachment here off Amazon, which I really love for glute max kickbacks because I feel like I can really get a good stretch on that glute right there at the top, and then really think about kicking back. A lot of people, when they do kickbacks, they almost like kick up, but the movement is literally about kicking back. You don't want to focus on how high can I get my foot because high is better. No, is how far back can you go. But some cues here, I'm thinking about keeping my pelvis slightly tucked under, core tight and chest stable. As you see here, this was my working set because I kind of am swinging, and sometimes you just have to do that, but I'm trying to not use any momentum and keep my upper body as stable as possible. But that's the workout. Thank you guys for watching. I know this is quick, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you
talk to the log, got shot in his face, and they drink out a straw. I'm ballin' hard, about to go to the league. Don't want the pussy, just get on your knees. Pound to the side and a pint of codeine. I started off with a phone and a fiend. I'm ballin' hard, about to go to the league. Don't want the pussy, just get on your knees. Pound to the side and a pint of codeine. I started off with a phone and a fiend. Niggas be acting like bitches, these bitches be acting like niggas. I don't know the difference. We ain't never slipping the Glock through the switches. We still in the trenches with 30s and 50s like yeah. I ran up a ticket, I leave niggas twitching. My niggas be itching.